This is Every New Day, and we bring you an NTV News shockwave. Early on June the 13th, 2025, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a surprise military campaign targeting over 100 Iranian sites. These included nuclear facilities in Natanz and Fordow, missile silos, and residences of top military commandos. Casualties included General Hossein Salami, the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, General Mohammed Bagheri, the chief of staff, General Amir Ali Hajizadeh, aerospace commander, and Feridun Abbasi Davani, who was a nuclear scientist. There were also a considerable amount of civilian casualties due to these strikes. The strike killed at least, as reported, between 78 to 90 people in Iran, including a significant number of civilians who comprised of women and children, with more than 320 to 329 wounded. In Tehran's Tajrish neighborhood alone, 35 women and children were reportedly injured and hospitalized. That same evening, Iran responded with Operation True Promise 3, firing over 150 ballistic missiles and deploying more than 100 drones. The missiles targeted major Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Casualties in Israel: 2 confirmed dead, dozens injured. Damage: partial building collapses, fires in central Tel Aviv. Prime Minister Netanyahu defended the strikes as a preemptive action to stop Iran's nuclear program. Former President Trump praised the move, but claimed the US had no direct role. Meanwhile, the UK was reportedly not informed in advance. Their defense secretary deflected questions on related surveillance operations. The UN and multiple world leaders called for restraint. What is Israel's Operation Rising Lion on Iran? Well, it was a massive air and covert strikes that targeted over 100 sites. These were nuclear facilities, as mentioned in Natanz and Fordow, missile installations, and residences of high-ranking IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commanders, and nuclear scientists. Some 200 plus Israeli jets, alongside Mossad-led covert teams and drones, disintegrated air defenses and destroyed key infrastructures. The strategic motive for this, Israel says, the mission is essential to prevent Iran's nuclear weaponization. Critics see signals pointing toward regime alteration intent. As for planning, the US and the UK were reportedly informed. The Trump administration offered tacit support, though publicly distanced, as neither participated directly. What is Iran's Operation True Promise 3, the retaliation strikes? The scale of their attack was over 150 ballistic missiles and 100 plus drones launched toward Israel. The regional escalation comes to the US military helping intercept incoming threats. Arab proxies like the Houthis voiced solidarity, though Hezbollah remained mostly inactive. The regional and global impact has been significant. The fallout was immediate. Oil prices surged, commercial flights were rerouted as airspace over large parts of the Middle East closed, and protests erupted across the region. The US confirmed assisting Israel in intercepting Iranian projectiles. Hezbollah and other Iranian allies remain on high alert. Trump hailed the strikes as excellent, while cautioning Iran that more could follow. The US distanced itself from planning, yet shared relevant intelligence. As for the UK, as mentioned earlier, they were not pre-informed and did not support militarily. They have summoned emergency meetings as tensions have risen. There have been condemnations from Russia, Turkey, who considers it as clear provocation, and calls for restraint. The UN has postponed meetings due to the volatility. There has been some rumors as to the US loaning their airbase in Iraq for the initial preemptive strikes by Israel. Although there is no definitive evidence in the provided sources that confirms Israel uses a specific US base in Iraq, several posts on X claim Israel used this US base, with some specifically mentioning Ain al-Assad Air Base. But these claims are not substantiated by official reports or credible sources. In fact, a statement from Sheikh Ali al-Azadi of the Nujaba movement, part of Hezbollah, disputes the use of Iraqi airspace, suggesting Israel used instead Syrian, Jordanian, or Saudi airspace instead. Iraqi and Iranian officials have claimed Israeli forces have used Iraqi airspace, but these assertions lack confirmation from US or Israeli authorities, and no specific US base has been named. These come from previous allegations from Iranian officials that have stated that Israeli aircraft utilized US-controlled airspace in Iraq during the October 2024 airstrikes on Iranian targets. The Iranian military claimed that these aircraft launched long-range missiles from approximately 100 kilometers inside Iraq, targeting border radars in the provinces of Ilam, Khuzestan, and areas around Tehran. They further stated that these operations were conducted with the assistance of US military airspace.
Wenn der nächste US-Präsident ein Republikaner sein sollte oder Hillary Clinton heißt, dann können Sie davon ausgehen, dass der Krieg gegen den Iran wieder auf die Agenda kommt. Das ist amtlich. Erinnern Sie sich an meine Worte in 2 oder 3 Jahren. Das wird geschehen. Der Iran ist eine Obsession für die Ultrakonservativen in Israel, in den USA. Und das alles wegen des Putsches 1953 gegen Mossad. Da fing dieser ganze Irrsinn an. Und jetzt verbinden Sie mal die Krisen dort mit der Krise in der Ukraine. Diese Krisen hängen insoweit zusammen, als sie beide Ausdruck sind eines politischen Agierens einer Hegemonialmacht, der USA, die aber erleben, dass sie die Grenzen ihrer Macht durchaus spüren. Sie wissen, dass Kriege teuer sind. Man muss diversifizieren, man muss andere mit einbeziehen. Das erleben wir gerade. Im Umgang mit der Ukraine, im Umgang mit dem Iran und anderen Krisenherden. Kurzum, und ich komme zum Ende, die nächsten Jahre werden nicht friedlich werden. Niemand weiß, was passiert, aber zum ersten Mal seit einigen Jahren, oder zum ersten Mal seit Jahrzehnten, muss man besser sagen, ist wieder eine Situation geschaffen, wo Kriege wieder denkbar werden, auch im großen Maßstab denkbar werden. Und das sollte uns eigentlich zu denken geben. Man hat den Eindruck, dass die politischen Akteure in den westlichen Hauptstädten nicht mehr über den Tellerrand ihre eigenen Befindlichkeiten und unmittelbaren strategischen Orientierungen hinausdenken und nicht das Grundsätzliche betrachten, sondern sie reagieren mehr, als dass sie vorausschauend handeln.
As of now, we do not know where things are going with this. Many Iranians abroad are concerned for their loved ones in Iran, whilst others celebrate the strikes being a victory for taking out some of the highest command of Iran. What seems to be my view on this is the case that this was a preemptive attack, and it was against a sovereign state, regardless of how you see that state. You cannot condone this. Yes, you may have taken out some bad actors, but in the process, civilians died. And it just seems to be the case always, time and time again, that our leadership, regardless from which nation or country, seem to be fools as kids running around with guns. Their responsibility lies in serving the well-being of civilians, as well as being aware of the well-being of others beyond the scope of their own nation. But apparently, that concern is not at the highest priority. It seems now that the only real people celebrating are the war profiteers, those who put profit over people's lives. This is not in any way, shape, or form something to be happy or celebrate over. Sure, the Iranian regime can be criticized. In fact, it is heavily criticized by many Iranians who live outside of it. But in no way does it suggest that force will somehow bring about change. We've seen how that worked so many times previously in the Middle East. I hope for cooler minds in these times, but as of now, it just seems we lack any example of true leadership. No one is taking the reins to try to calm the tone down, and this is truly unfortunate. I only pray for those who still have families and are worried, and I implore that the people of the world who watch this and who may see this, regardless of what political alignment you take, can put your differences aside to acknowledge that human life is of more importance than just politics and disagreements. We need to bring everything down a notch. And as predicted, and as I saw, that strike in which Ukraine did with their drones against a nuclear site, the nuclear bombers in Russia, that has really brought about a new precedent to this game. Where will it end? Hopefully, maybe we will see less casualties and death. As the dust settles, the world watches closely, and so we should. Was this just a major flare-up? Or the beginning of a much larger conflict? Well, I think we all know the answer to that. In any case, if you like this video, please give it a like below. Follow us, subscribe, comment down below your own thoughts, and have a good rest of your day. This was NTV News. Thanks for tuning in.